All right, guys, we have an interesting little episode today, right, Nate?
I hope it's interesting. I guess
Yeah,
that remains to be seen. You guys let
well,
us know in the comments.
being entrepreneurs, Nate, a lot of times we'll call each other with ideas, and most of the time we're encouraging. But this time you called me, and man, I just didn't get it. I did not get it. I thought it was a stupid, dumb idea. But we've
Well,
talked a little bit more, and
it,
and we just thought it would be fun for the audience to kind of see how we talk through this, how we kind of vet out ideas. And the one we're going to focus on today is your new book selling Amazon idea, right?
yes. Yeah. Now, this is not a I mean, it's not really a new idea. It's just the fact that I'm doing it. So it's new to me. This particular method or strategy, I came across it probably like a year and a half ago. I think I just saw like a YouTube video and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. It's basically like online arbitrage. So whether it was books or flipping merchandise from like Walmart or thrift stores, garage sales, all that kind of stuff, like it just seemed really interesting that people were making decent money doing this kind of thing. So I kind of bookmarked that, but then we moved and got busy and stuff like that. And I didn't really think about it. But then when the whole pandemic happened, I had a little time on my hands and I think a video popped up in my feed. I was like, oh, you know what? I've got a little time. The barrier to entry is pretty low. So let's just go ahead and try it. And so I, went essentially from flipping houses to flipping books instead.
We're not done with houses though.
No, I mean, I might be done flipping houses. I don't know. I mean, maybe there'll be some opportunities in the
True.
future. No,
Definitely
real
still.
estate is the backbone of a lot of things for sure. And I love real estate. But in the meantime, I mean, this little experiment in flipping books is not that much different. It's, it's actually, for me, it's a lot of fun. Maybe for some people like Troy, it's not, but I think it's a lot of fun. It's like going on a treasure hunt every day to see if you can find these ridiculous books where you'd be surprised how much money you can make on one book.
So yeah, I mean, when you were telling me you were driving to thrift stores and garage sales, I was just like, what is he doing now? And both of us have had some ideas where it seems a little far fetched, but I think as you explained this to me a little bit more, it did make more sense. Now, I'm still concerned about the time you put in compared to the output. But you made a statement the other day where you said, there are guys scaling their business after a year. It does take some time, and they're making well into the six figures, literally finding and tracking down these old books and sending them to Amazon and essentially filling their pipeline and making a great living. So explain kind of how the process works.
Yeah. So if you're talking about books specifically, there's like two different ways that you can do this on Amazon. So one is called merchant fulfilled. So that's where you source books from wherever your source is, thrift stores, garage sales. Maybe you have a relationship with a bookstore or something like that. You bring the books into your house, your garage, your basement, whatever. And then as orders come in from customers, you fulfill those orders. So you're sending the books out to them. That is
Which
not the
sounds,
model.
yeah, that just sounds horrible and tedious, right?
Right. And that is not the model I chose. I
Okay.
chose the second way of doing it, which is called FBA, or fulfilled by Amazon. So this is where you're still sourcing the books, but then you send the books to an Amazon warehouse, and Amazon takes care of all the sales and sends the books out to the customer. They deal with, the customer service, all that kind of stuff. So all you have to do is send the books to Amazon, and then you just wait for the sales.
And obviously Amazon takes a larger cut on that method, but
Yes. Yeah.
but to
If you look side by side, like merchant fulfilled versus fulfilled by Amazon, merchant fulfilled, you're going to make more money theoretically, although there are some different areas that you have a big benefit selling FBA. Um, it's just the fact that I don't want to have I already have a ton of books in my office. Let me just show you guys.
Let's take a peek.
Let's just take a peek here. Maybe you can peek behind me. There's some books over there. There's some books. I mean, basically I have a runway where I can walk to my desk, and underneath my desk, there's many more books. So I have about 400 or 500 books in here right now that I need to send off to Amazon. And I mean, I'm sourcing these every day. Sometimes I don't, I mean, you don't know. It's like, oh, maybe I'll go to the thrift store today. So I did go to the thrift store yesterday. I picked up about 20 books for about $30. My profit on that, my estimated profit's probably $250, something like that, in just like an hour and a half. And then I was on Facebook Marketplace, found a guy who was selling like, it was 150, 175 books, something like that. He wanted 100 books. We settled on 90. It looked like he had some good titles in there. And I found one book in there alone that was worth over $200. And then I had like 20, 30 other books that were, going to pay me $5 to $10. So it is like a treasure hunt, and it's actually a lot of fun to do.
So I can imagine anyone listening is probably like, well, how does he know? Nate, how do you know what a book is worth and what the potential profit is once you send it into Amazon and then they sell it for you? So what are you using? How do you know?
Yeah, so I don't know. So luckily though, there's tools out there that help me out, because I wouldn't have ventured into this without, I mean, I'd be like, oh, that book looks like it's worth something, when in fact it could have a horrible sales rank. No one's bought it in the last year on Amazon. So luckily there are apps out there. I use an app called ScoutIQ. I'll pull it up. And so it's just a little, it's a scouting app. And
it's called, what is it? ScoutIQ?
ScoutIQ. Yeah, there are other apps, and you can even, for free, you can use if you have a seller account on Amazon, you can use the seller account to scan things as well. So you can get into this for next to nothing as far as like just getting started. So you can scan a book's title or the barcode on the back, if it has one, or the ISBN number. So there's multiple ways to kind of send that data in so you can see what the sales rank. Nice thing though about like a paid app like this it's $15 a month for a live version, which pulls data directly from Amazon in a live fashion, or they have a database mode, which is a little bit faster, but it's more expensive as well. I think it's $45 a month. And so when you pull up a book, so let me scan a book here. So you just scan a book and you just use like your camera, and you can see UPC symbol, the ISBN, or the title. So most of the time it's just going to be, okay, so this book right here is like First Aid for Horses. This was something I found on Facebook Marketplace for $5.
That's only a second edition though.
Yeah, this is only.
Can you imagine what a first edition would go for?
So you can see.
Sorry,
here,
continue.
Yeah, so it goes green. And
okay.
I don't know if you can see that it says accept. So if it's green, it's accept. And my profit, my FBA profit's about $119 on a $5 book. Now that's somewhat rare. You might find one every other day or something.
Wait. Explain that again. Your profit is $119. I don't understand that. $119 on a $5 book?
Yeah, so it's a $5 book that I paid $5 for.
Right.
But what it's going for on Amazon is anywhere between $150 and $170. So after
kidding me.
So after Amazon takes their fees out of it, I net $119.
Holy camoli.
Yes. Holy camoli.
You picked that one. You handpicked that one for this episode, right?
Yes, of course.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I found a golf book the other day that was just like a little golf paperback book that didn't look like much. I got it for 50 cents. And that one is selling for like $130.
Wow.
So, there's books out there, and most of the books you find are not going to be that big, but those are great. Most of them you're going to profit anywhere between, say, $3 and $20 on. But it does take a lot of work to find these. You're going to have to scan hundreds of books literally to find a few. I think an average hit rate is probably 3 to 5%. So out of 100 books, you might get 3 or 4, maybe 5. And sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. Sometimes, like I hit a garage sale the other day. They had probably 500 books for sale, which is why I went to the garage sale. And I spent about an hour, hour and a half there and got 65 books. And my net profit, if they all sell, is going to be $650.
Wow. That's incredible, man. Okay. So Nate, like when you look, I mean, how many shipments have you made to Amazon at this point, or how many books have you sent?
I think I've only sent probably 6 boxes. And so depending on the size of the box, I'm sending 35 books in. So
Okay.
I've got maybe an inventory of 200 books at this point. I've only made a handful of sales because it takes a while for them to pull them out, and sometimes they have to send them to a different warehouse even. So they have a process, and things are a little slower still because of COVID-19.
But
But
so
yeah.
every time you send a box in, you are adding to your personal inventory and waiting for Amazon to sell it. So you're building a pipeline, and those books might sit for how long?
Well, you definitely don't want them to sit for longer than a year. So this is part of the reason to use an app, because the app will give you what's called an e-score. The e-score looks at the sales history of a book and how many days it has sold in the last 6 months. If it has a 0 e-score, that means it hasn't sold in the last 6 months. So you probably want to avoid a book like
Wow.
that, even if it's worth $200. So you want to have books that sell on a more, you know, in a more reliable fashion. So stuff that has an e-score of say 100, it's selling like every day or every other day. It's a really good pace, because you want to be able to go through your inventory so you get that money back so you can put it back into buying more books.
Right, right. Yeah. So just like real estate, you've got to come up with the capital up front. Obviously, much fewer dollars, much smaller investment, but you're purchasing everything up front, sending it into Amazon, and waiting for that sales cycle to occur. So, um, what are your long term goals? I mean, what do you think is realistic, and what should someone who says, "Hey, maybe I'll give this a shot"? What do you think they need to consider?
Yeah, it can be a great little just like side business that you do on the weekends. If you just like go into the garage sales or the thrift stores, you could pick up, a few dozen books, maybe 50 or 100, send those in. You could, over time, it takes a little bit of time to, build that pipeline, but over time you could probably make 2,000 bucks a month just by going out to a few sales, spending maybe 5 to 10 hours a week, just sourcing some books. And there's a lot of creative ways to find books too. It's not just garage sales and thrift stores.
Yeah. So, still skeptical over here,
Sure.
but the tide is turning, my friend. You're like Jedi mind tricking me. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of cool. You have not seen much in the way of sales yet, but you're kind of looking out what, 12 months, 18 months before, and how much inventory are you trying to build on Amazon?
Yeah. So my goal right now is to source 500 books a week. So I want to send 500 books a week into the Amazon warehouse, which that's a lot of books, and I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Probably with my current schedule, I'm able to do maybe half that. So I'm able to get about 250 books a week out to Amazon. So that's the reason why I want to scale this bigger. I mean, I want a business. I want people helping me find more inventory. And there are many different ways to find inventory. But the method I think I've kind of fallen on here is to have a little team. So I have other people who use the same app. I share the app with them. I have to pay a little extra each time someone uses the app, but then they're in a different market potentially. They're out garage sailing, thrifting on Facebook Marketplace, looking at Craigslist, whatever. And then they send me a box of books, and I have inventory that I didn't have to take the time to source. So that's the way I'm choosing to scale the business.
Why do you think they're not just sending it to Amazon themselves?
I guess that remains to be seen a little bit, but for me, I give them guaranteed money per book. I'm paying them $2 per book that they find. And so,
As long as it shows up green, right? So if they have the app
yes,
shows up green, they don't have to wait for Amazon to fulfill their order, you pay them immediately.
Right. Yeah. As soon as they send me that box. So again, if they're sending me 30 to 40 books in a box, I'm going to send them $60 to $80, depending on how many books there are. So if they can send me a box a week, that would make me super happy. They get 60 to 80 bucks. They probably only spent a couple hours on it. And that's a pretty good hourly rate for them.
That's super interesting, man. Wow. Well, what do you think we should do? I'd love to continue this. Can we check in? Can we do another update in like 2 to 3 months? What do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we should check in, make sure that I have followed through on all this and that I just don't
This
have
is your
a bunch of books behind me that are stacked
Nate.
this
Yeah, you're
high.
peeking through for the.
So,
It's
and
funny.
there are some other interesting ways too. I mean, if there's like a bigger lot of books, like let's just say, I mean, because of this whole pandemic, like some retail business are going to go out of sale. So there are some used bookstores that potentially could go out of business. They might have, or they just might have excess inventory,
Right.
and there could be a way to work with them on consignment. There's a spreadsheet I can use where I can track all that. So essentially that way I'd be getting free inventory from them, helping them out. As soon as the books do sell on Amazon, then they get their money from that book. So there's other ways to source inventory, especially when you're thinking of like big lot purchases, or you can purchase books by the pallet from like big wholesalers, stuff like that. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. I don't have the space right now to take a pallet. My hope is though, if I can get a big enough team and I have enough coming in, I would not be the one listing the books anymore. I'd probably get a small industrial space, have a couple computers, a couple people doing all the inventory, entering and pricing all the items and sending those off to Amazon.
Yeah, and even if before that step, I was thinking, how cheap is going to just a storage facility and renting, a monthly. If you continue to source, but you just needed more space for books, it probably wouldn't be too expensive. But
Right.
wow, man, it's pretty cool. I don't know. Well, yeah, like I said, I'm interested to see where this leads.
Yeah.
You'll probably be hiring me. I'll be begging for a job here in 3 months, and yeah.
I can give you the app so you can, go out to a
Yes.
garage sale and,
Yes.
and find some books.
That's my dream job.
Yes. I knew it. I knew it. No, the the thing about flipping anything for a profit, like when I think about flipping houses, what did I like the most about it? I liked sourcing it, like finding that awesome deal because you're like you
Yeah.
have that potential to make money,
Right.
and then the actual sale itself because all the stress of the flip is over. And flipping books, you get that a lot quicker, you get a lot more frequently, so you're kind of getting those dopamine hits of like, oh yeah, what a great deal, I just bought a book for $1 and I can sell it for
Yeah.
50. And there's a lot less risk. You're only putting out at most a couple bucks for most books, maybe a little bit more for textbooks, stuff like that. But it's very low risk. There are some other things like an app. I use like a tracking inventory, stuff like that. So I think my fixed costs are around $120 a month at this point, but only
Okay.
because I want to continue to scale. You can probably do it for $20 a month.
That's amazing. So, and your goal here, obviously we've got our real estate business and you've got other things going, but your goal would be, this is for you, a full-time job slash, full source of income. You think you can get to that point or potentially get to that point?
Yeah, I think within a year it would replicate like an average American income. I based on my numbers, I think around 50,000 a year. But as I scale, those numbers get better. And the more inventory you have with Amazon, depending on what your turn rate is with your inventory, that actually goes way up the second year. It kind of tops out year 3, but you might make 50,000 your first year at the current kind of estimates that I've
Yeah.
got. But then your next year, you're going to be well into the six figures, low six figures, and then a little bit of a bump the third year. And at that point, it kind of caps out unless you're going to be sending way more inventory in.
Okay. All right. Well, in the interest of time, we'll keep it short and we'll update you guys in 2 to 3 months. We'll see where Nate's at on his book flipping journey. and I'm interested as well. So I will also be anxiously awaiting the update. And Nate, always good to see you, man. And we'll
You
connect here
too.
shortly.
Sounds good.
All right,
Later, guys.
later.